Okay, welcome everyone. 7 o'clock on the dot, my time. So let's kick off this party, shall we? I'm super excited to present our leader for the discussion tonight. Cherti is incredible. She's a self-proclaimed bookworm and loves it, right? Is that fair to say? And we've done a couple book clubs before, and I just love her insight, and so I'm really excited to hear what she has to say about chapter 1. Who loved chapter 1? Raise your hand. Oh my gosh, raise 2 hands if you absolutely loved it. Whoa. Okay. All right. I don't want to take up any more of Hannah's time, so I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, Hannah. Do you want me to unmute you, or can you unmute yourself?
I got it.
There we go.
Thank you. Okay, so I started reading this, I started listening to it on Audible, and now I'm reading it again, and this book is amazing. I remember listening to chapter 1 on the way to work, and I just thought, this is going to be my favorite book study that we do so far. So if you haven't read chapter 1 already, it is amazing, and you're going to be absolutely hooked. She immediately makes herself very relatable, and she just is so real from the beginning. She kind of shut down that first impression that you would have of her if you just saw her on Instagram and saw her in a fancy dress going to the Oscars. She says that, she starts off the first chapter by saying that she peed her pants while being on the trampoline with her kids. So she immediately gets rid of that perception that she's perfect and kind of goes and explains that she is flawed, and she admits to being flawed. She says she's not the perfect wife, the perfect Christian, the perfect mother. And although she does these amazing things every day, she is traveling, she has her own company and her own lifestyle website. She says that she is failing all the time. And she wakes up every day and tries again and again to become the best version of herself possible, because she looks at every day as a new opportunity. It's a new chance. And she doesn't want us to stop trying because society makes us feel like we need to be perfect. And she says, and I really love this, she says, life is not meant to be merely survived. It's meant to be lived. Moments when you feel like you're drowning should not be your whole existence. And she says you're meant to be the hero of your own story, but that does not mean you get to be selfish. And this is where she kind of gets real. And she says that we have to take responsibility for our own happiness. And if you're unhappy, that's on you. So she took her very difficult and traumatic childhood, and she kind of made it better because she knew that it was up to her to do that. It wasn't up to anybody else. And she didn't blame anybody else for what she had been through, but she knew it was up to her to change everything. So we choose to be happy, grateful, and fulfilled. And you make that choice every single day. And then the last thing I highlighted is you are in charge of your own life, and there is not one thing in it that you aren't allowing to be there. And that really should get all of us thinking, because if there's something that we complain about every day or we're really unhappy about every day, we're allowing it to be there. So that is really on us. So I don't want to spend too much time recapping. I definitely want to get into questions and some discussion. So she said that moving or getting away is only geography. Do any of you feel that a change of scenery is all you need to make you happy? Do you think that that is enough? I see a lot of people shaking their heads. I don't think so. I think that we really need to evaluate who we are. You can be in a wonderful place, but she said that even being in LA, she really wasn't happy. So everybody raise your hand if you compare yourself to other people. Right, definitely. So why is it's so hard to stop comparing ourselves to people. We know that that doesn't bring us any good, and all we're doing is tearing ourselves down. So why do you think it is so difficult to stop doing it when we know it isn't good for us?
I personally think because our brains are so programmed by now, like we've been doing it our whole lives, mostly our adult lives, but at this point, like it comes so natural to us because we've been doing it for so long that we do it just like without even thinking about it. It's like second nature.
Right. I definitely think that's true. I think a lot of times we probably don't even know we're doing it. But, I mean, it is. I think it's very difficult to stop. Are there any times that you find that you are comparing yourself to others? I mean, is it the way that people look? Is it their success? So what is it that you find that you're comparing yourself to people? What is it exactly that you find yourself doing?
Can y'all hear me?
I can. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know for me, I do always tend to compare like my looks to others, but here in the last couple of years, it's been not just my success professionally, but my success as a parent. Because I have a 2-year-old. So sometimes like I'll see somebody else do something and I'm like, well, am I doing it right? Am I good enough? So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And it's hard because it could be that you're doing it right, and maybe the way that they're doing it isn't the best way, but sometimes it does make you second guess things a little bit. Anybody else, anything that you compare yourself to others for?
I do all the time with both of my businesses, on the vacation planner and with Plexus. I find myself wondering, how are they moving things so well, or how are they signing up people doing $100,000 vacations left after, time and time again? What am I doing wrong? Where am I cutting myself short to where I'm not gaining the same ground as the others that are doing the same thing I'm doing? And I'm following them, and I'm taking their advice from my upline and everything, but it's not, I'm not in Texas, I'm in Georgia. So it's like, it's a whole different world here, and it's so difficult. And I say to myself all the time that I'm doing something wrong, and I just can't figure out what it is I'm doing wrong.
Do you feel that you could learn from other people and that it would motivate you, or do you think that it just kind of has that negative impact on you? I mean, can you use it as motivation, or does it just kind of make you feel bad?
For some people, I'll use it as it's motivating to me. It's like I connect with them on that level, the way they're doing things, the way they're succeeding at things. With some of, like my Emerald and everything, to me, it's the way she speaks, is kind of downgrading. It feels like she's, putting me down because I'm not where she expects me to be right now. So, but then I see other people, and it's like I'm on the same, I connect with them, on so many different levels, and it's motivating when I see them doing things, but I just don't think I connect, with some people. And I use it against myself because I'm like, okay, what am I doing wrong? How can I do this? I've got to figure out how to do this better.
Well, and I think some people have to approach others the right way. I mean, I tell myself all the time that everybody's journey is different. So it's hard not to compare yourself to other people. You still do it. But I don't feel like you should have someone talk down to you about it, because, you can have the same success as everybody else. It just happens in your own time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody else?
Well, I can relate to that just business wise, that I think I'm more at a place where there's a tendency to walk into that world of comparison, but I'm not doing it as much anymore. And I think just acknowledging that we are all individuals, even if we're able to do what another person can do, it doesn't mean that we're going to do what another person can do, or if it's
Right.
even the right thing right now for us to do. So I think as we see other people's success, we can glean from that. We can kind of throw it into our toolbox of things that we can use to build our business, grow our business. But we're never going to be that person, and nor should we ever be that
Right.
person. So we're not comparing apples to apples. We're comparing apples to oranges. And if you're an apple, you're not going to be an orange. You know, that doesn't mean that you're not going to be successful to the same degree. It's going to look different. The people that are with you are going to look different. How we achieved it is going to look different. So I think the more we can kind of grind that into our brains, the less likely we are to be really comparative with other people.
I love that. Definitely. I completely agree. We are comparing ourselves to people that are nothing like us. So we can use it, like you said, you know, we can gather information from them, and we can kind of use that to help us, but we can't do everything exactly the same as other people, because otherwise everyone would be successful and things would be kind of boring that way. So I think it's good that we're all so different. And then she talks about, in the things that help me, she says that, you know, she tried to free her spirit. She talked about going for long walks with the dog and saying no to obligations that she actually hated doing. What sort of things free your spirit? What is that that's going to give you, you know, a little bit more positivity in your life? What are some things that you do that really, truly make you happy?
I like to run. Run makes me happy. Whether I'm running with the stroller or running by myself, Whitney can attest to that.
Yeah.
But for me, that's kind of like my release.
And that's really cool, because that's kind of what she talks about, that you have to do what makes you happy. If you told me to go running with you, I would be the most miserable person to run with, because I would complain the whole time. I'll go for a walk for you for 4 hours, but I hate running. I absolutely hate it. But there are other things that make me happy. I love to go to the park with the kids and play baseball with them. You know, and that might be something that someone says, oh, I really don't want to do that. But, you know, we have to do what makes us happy. What are some other things that you guys feel give you that positivity?
Can you hear me, Hannah?
I can hear you.
Hannah, can you? Okay, I know you can hear me, not see me, but
Yes.
so I love to run too, and that's, sorry.
I know you're in the car. Oh, I can't hear you now.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I can hear you now.
Okay. So I love to run too, but
I heard you like to run, and then it cuts out.
the one thing that comparing, okay, it might not work because I'm driving, but it's letting go.
I can hear you now.
Letting go. Yes,
Yes.
just letting go of things, disappointments, frustrations, things that didn't work out, just letting it go.
Definitely. That, and you know, and a lot of people, I think, that do enjoy running, that's huge for them. That's a really great time for you to clear your head.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know if you
therapy.
saw, there were a couple comments in the chat too.
Yes, I just saw those too. Okay. All right. So Venetia said that we also have to realize we are comparing our entire lives to someone's highlight reel they choose not to tell us on social media. That is so true. I think I mentioned that before. We all share the things that we are proud of, or the accomplishments or the good things throughout the day. We don't share the you know, some people do, but we don't always share the struggles that we have. So we can't compare ourselves to people that we see on social media every day, because we might be struggling less than they are, but they just might not be showing it. So yeah, that's a really good point. And then Stacy said that the beach the beach I think makes everybody really happy. I really like that. I think that you can go to the beach and you can relax, and you can, just like Nicole said, you can kind of let go. So I think that that is definitely a really good way to kind of free your spirit. And then she talks about surrounding yourself with positivity. One of the things that I learned recently is that we are the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with, which I don't know about you, but that kind of makes me rethink the people I want to spend the most time with. So how do you avoid negative-minded people? What are some things that you do to help avoid that kind of situation?
Just talk positively. Just try to turn it around on them and not let them be Debbie Downers.
Yes, that can be hard sometimes. But yeah, I mean, you can bring up the positive things. I think that that's really important. Definitely.
That or walk away. I mean, I'm not going to sit and listen to somebody be negative for too long. That's for sure.
Right. I think sometimes you have to do that just for your own sanity.
Yeah.
I think you have to walk away sometimes.
I think
Whitney, were you going to say something? I thought I saw you.
I think too, like sometimes those people in our inner circle, like maybe people that we don't have really the option to cut out of our lives.
Right.
Like a teenage child, for example.
Right.
That as an example. But exactly what Deb said, like you just don't allow it to get through your force field. You know what I mean? Like, and I find when you send it back to them in a positive way, a lot of times that's not the response that they were looking for, or you're not coddling that or agreeing with them. And so a lot of times they'll just give up and stop talking negativity to you because it doesn't get them the response they're looking for.
Exactly.
Right. And I think sometimes it is about getting a rise out of somebody. I think sometimes if you're not in a great mood, it makes you feel a little better. And if you don't get the rise out of them, it isn't worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I find something that I do too is whatever negative statements they're making, I will rephrase them into a positive affirmation in my own brain so that it doesn't affect me negatively. I'm kind of notorious for doing that at work. Somebody will be complaining about a customer or complaining about one of the coworkers, and I will just rephrase it. A lot of times I do it out loud, and they go, oh yeah, that's right. And it just gives them another perspective on how to look at that situation. So I think not only can we kind of block the negativity in our own lives from other people, but we can also be an influencer of positivity in the lives of others. They'll let me know when they get irritated.
Do they let you know? Do you change that into a positive affirmation too if they say they're irritated?
Yeah, to myself, yeah. Like, I changed that from myself but most of the time, I mean, I don't know I've ever actually had anybody say that they didn't like it. They may say, oh, there she goes again, making everything happy, but it makes other people are thinking differently sometimes as well. So, and that helps us just maintain our own mindset. So that we're not only not influenced by their negativity, but that we can also be, a positive influence in their lives.
Absolutely.
Oh, definitely.
I think people, when you start doing things like that, Amy, they get used to you being so positive all the time. They just don't even bring their negativity around as much. So, or they kind of watch what they're saying in front of you. I found that in my life.
And whether they're, sorry, I thought you were done.
I was just going to say people get used to not being able to get away with it in front of me, and they just quit doing it. So
Or they correct themselves. That's what I love.
Yeah.
They'll start saying something negative and all of a sudden they'll go, oh, wait, I need to think of that differently. And they'll actually correct themselves, which is kind of funny.
That's great.
fun.
The impact you're making. That's so awesome, Amy.
That's awesome.
Whether they're going to admit it or not, you know that it's rubbing off on them and they're appreciating it deep down. Maybe, you know, some more than others, I'm sure, but you're making a difference. That's good.
Definitely. And people get to know you for being that type of person. I work for an ophthalmologist office. I had a drug rep come in to talk to me about different drops for glaucoma. And it was like 7:25 in the morning. And he's like, why are you so happy? It's early. So, you know, people they start to recognize that. So I think that that's so important to kind of not only train your own brain, but kind of train the people around you. And that's not always easy. Like Whitney said, sometimes it's, you know, really close friends or family and you can't exactly walk away from them all the time. But do any of you treat a negative person or a negative mindset differently depending on who it is, whether it's, you know, if it's family, do you approach it differently than you would if it's like a coworker?
Sure.
How would you approach that differently?
Probably not really well with the girls that have worked for me because the generation gaps there, but I tried really hard. But you just try, I did this class about Generation X, millennials and all that different stuff. And the way there was a decade between each one of us in our office, pretty much. It was
Wow.
There's 5 of us, and I was the boss, and I had a lady that worked for me that was 10 years older than me, and she was probably the most negative person there, and that surprised me. Because
Wow.
with age, you kind of let things brush off your shoulders a lot easier than not. But with your coworkers, you've got to have a positive attitude to keep things running smoothly, make everybody happy, and want to come to work. When it's your own family, like my grandchildren, perhaps, I would be more sympathetic and try to listen to them and see what's going on, and try to turn that little frown upside down. So.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when it's children, you don't want them to be upset in any way.
No.
So I think you treat that differently, and it's hard in a work environment because you want to be professional too. So that can definitely, you know, make things a little bit different. But one thing I have found is if I have had, you know, a negative day, whether it's usually work, home is pretty good, but I found that either reading this when I get home or listening to the audiobook, it really does change my mindset. I feel a lot more positive when I walk into the house or when I walk into work. So I really think that every chapter that she talks about, you know, there's something that we can relate to. And like I said, she made herself extremely relatable from this very first chapter. And I think that, you know, a lot of the things that she said that helped her at the end of this chapter, I think that those are things that we can apply to our own lives. We only have about 5 more minutes left, so I just wanted to ask if there are any takeaways that anyone wants to share. Anything that we didn't cover or something that you wanted to elaborate on a little bit?
Is Renee still in here?
What?
Is Renee Anderson still in here?
Yeah, I'm here. What's up?
There she is.
She writes in her gratitude journal every day. And
Yes.
that just helps your mindset so
Totally.
significantly, right?
Yeah, and the Think Up, I'm still listening to that app, and it really, I have to change and record new ones, but it really does help.
Yeah.
So.
That's a good way to start your day.
Yeah.
That way you really are brushing off all the negativity.
I like the idea of the journal too, because I feel like if I write things down, I remember them better.
Yeah.
So I really like the idea of a journal a lot. When did you start doing that?
Renee.
It's probably been like a year and a half.
Oh, so you've been doing that a while. Okay.
Yeah. And I started with 3 things I was grateful for, and now I'm up to 5 every day.
Oh, that's great.
It's awesome.
I think that's cool.
Hey, I don't want to leave this chapter without looking at the part that says comparison is the death of joy. I've also heard that comparison is the thief of joy. I know we touched on comparison, but I think that's just really such a great quote. It says, the only person you need to be better than is one that you were yesterday.
Yeah.
So you're just comparing with yourself.
That's my favorite quote
Yes.
in the chapter.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Any other takeaways? I love that, Lori. That is such a powerful quote. And, you know, I've seen graphics with that quote on it, and I didn't even know it was her. It's very, very powerful. Any other takeaways?
I think everything has kind of related to one way or another, but there was 2 other things. One was where she said, finally I thought to myself, I'm where I belong. That not only related to like me and my life and where I'm at, but it reminded me of my friend who had a hard time leaving Roanoke. She got married, and that required her going back to Northern Virginia. And I remember visiting her, and I'm saying, you're really where you belong. Like, I can see that. And I kind of thought of that moment, but then I thought, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And that kind of stuck out. And then, you know, we talked about being happy and grateful, but right under there it says you must choose. It's a choice. And I think so many people, those negative people that we are trying not to deal with, that we deal with, they don't understand that they have that same choice that we have, but we can only control our choice. So,
and adding to that, Steph, is that she said it's a decision you have to make every single day. It's not just you decide one day you're going to be a happy person, and every day after that you wake up and you're automatically happy. It's a decision.
I promise it don't work.
Yeah, it's a decision we have to make every single morning when we get out of bed.
Sometimes you have to make that decision multiple times a day, too.
That's true.
Yes.
True. Right? It's an ongoing decision. That's even better. Okay, awesome. Well, any last remarks? If not, we're going to go ahead and close it up.
Did you see what I typed?
Oh,
Accelerator sure helps me to be happy and to choose that every day. Just FYI, if you haven't tried it, you need to try it.
We have a lot of Plexus peeps on here. Some of you aren't. She's talking about a Plexus supplement we have that helps boost the mood a little. So, true. That is a bonus.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Awesome, girls. Well, thanks so much for joining us. Thank you, Hannah. That was a beautiful discussion.
Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and do chapter 2 next week. And I believe Amy is going to be leading that one. Yeah. And so we'll look forward to that. Everyone have a blessed week and choose to be happy every morning. It's up to you. Bye everyone. Thank you.
Bye.